Once again, good evening to you, Mr. Ako John. Ako, good evening. Thank you so much for coming.
The pleasure is mine.
You are a political analyst and an actor of the civil society. Once again, thank you for coming.
Yeah, I will always be with you when issues affecting Cameroonians are supposed to be discussed upon.
Before we talk about issues affecting Cameroonians, we've just seen this historic handshake between the U.S. president and that of North Korea, the leader Kim Jong-un. Highly awaited, it is at the center of every debate. The meeting for the first time, and sitting with a sitting U.S. president. That is, they are meeting for the first time. That was what I was actually about to say to you. What is the significance of this meeting between the U.S. president and the Korean leader?
Yeah, the first thing acknowledged from the meeting of Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un of the Korean Republic, you realize that this is something I've been talking about, even the generation we have in Cameroon, that change is what we believe in. And that change can never be brought by the same old and outdated parents whom presently we are having in Cameroon. Remember, the grandfather of Kim Jong-un could not do what he has done. The father could not do the same thing.
Even the predecessors of Donald Trump.
That is what we are saying. Away from the predecessors of Donald Trump, the move is coming from a young, elegant leader of a nuclear power that has decided to talk to the United States. It doesn't mean that the former could have done the same thing, but just what they have done is telling us that this is a generation of peace and that there is a need to carry both nations ahead. And I would like to tell you that if North Korea is coming on the sitting table at this dying moment, you could equally realize that on the early days of Donald Trump coming to power, a lot of sanctions have again fallen on North Korea, and that the North Koreans need America. Likewise, America equally needs North Korea when it comes to economics and other business activities within the Pacific, how can I call it, Northern Asia. You realize there is China, there is Russia, there is North Korea, there's South Korea, Japan, and the rest. All America already controls North and South Korea and Japan, but then needs the support also of the North. If business has to go as usual, with the competing power of China, America needs more friends. And I will tell you, it is equally going to confirm what Donald Trump said when he took power. He said America first. And that will be the interest of America. At the time when Europe will be thinking of sidelining or having trouble with Donald Trump is making friends with one of the longest enemies of the United States, which we mean. At this extent, he has said he's going to promise America the best deal so ever, hoping he equally criticized the position of Obama on the Iranian nuclear deal, and that going with North Korea will offer Americans the best opportunity.
Should this be a lesson to African leaders in general?
I would like to tell you that African leaders, very few have decided to learn. Many have failed to even listen, even when that is coming from their very people. We need not see the Westerners do or carry out a particular act for us to copy. We have been in school 60, 50, 70 years after independence. I believe Africans can do certain things by themselves. But I said, in Africa, we still have the First World War agents still being at the top of politics, and the old ideas still remain. I will salute the effort of Kim Jong-un of making it possible that they meet with the American leader, and that has been a historic moment throughout the world. I mean, all TVs, all press organs carry title U.S. Donald Trump Kim meets in Singapore. This is an excellent gesture from a young leader whom I admire, whom I think it should be the same in a country where I belong.
Of course, Mr. Ako John, talking about country Cameroon, Amnesty International has again published another report elaborating on the circle of violence. That was the word used by Amnesty International in the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon. To the international human rights organization, security forces are brutalizing, killing and destroying houses, and on the other hand, Amnesty International referred to, said that the separatists or the pro-independence fighters are equally attacking schools, teachers and security forces in the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon. In the past months or the past weeks, we've been seeing reports from international NGOs, human rights organizations, Amnesty International, International Crisis Group, UNESCO, UNICEF. What does this actually mean, Mr. Ako John?
Yeah, we as Cameroonians in general, and Anglophone Cameroonians in particular, we don't need foreign reports to tell us what is going in the field. And if there is anybody who is still in this Cameroon and feeling that the situation is normal and that is under control, I will bet them, those who belong to the military, those who belong to the government, the ministers, the SDO, the parliamentarians, the senators should move on a quiet and still visit to this region. I mean, the information you bring back home will tell you that nothing is going right. And if nothing is going right, we need not tell a lie to ourselves. You cannot cook from the same pot and the same person stealing from the same pot. The moment that is done, then you are even causing a crime to your own very self of telling a lie. And we need to fix things by ourselves. In fact, if the international community is now coming to light, it's already telling you that what we thought was an internal problem has become an international problem, and so need an international solution. It will equally mean that the powers and the government of this country has failed to handle a problem within its borders, which is already acting as a threat to the international community and the neighbors of Cameroon. And this will equally mean that the United Nations, as a power regulating organ throughout the world, through its various agencies, this came in fact, it's coming in after the U.S. ambassador made statements. Cameroonian officials, professors who thought they have studied international relations, came out with a lot of criticisms. The Minister of External Relations gave his own opinion. But I'm telling you that those of us who find time to go to the region, it is not better off. And if we believe Cameroon belongs to Cameroonians, we need to act as Cameroonians and not to protect a particular individual. We need to talk to Cameroonians. We need to resolve Cameroonian problem and fail or stop giving reasons that we can manage. We can manage. I said at the beginning, I will insist, no situation in the world has ever been managed by arms. Talk less of when the military take arms against its own very people. It has never happened. And when I keep on saying, I stand here to bear a testimony that change is about coming to Cameroon.
Change is about coming to Cameroon. Now, can this series of reports and outing from international bodies hasten the process of his seeking solutions to this Anglophone crisis?
Yeah, obviously, we have seen it many. These international organizations, I have a pointer. I will tell you that the last report made by the International Crisis Group was criticized by the same government. The same report, another report by Amnesty, it was criticized by the government. The United Nations, I'm telling you, they are already United Nations agents in Boya, acting and trying already to support on what, in fact, finances are already being raised in certain quarters to help Cameroonian refugees in Nigeria and in even those who are internally displaced. Others are still living in bushes, and we know the period where it is. This is at the heart of the rainy season in Africa, and we still sit quietly to see our brothers and sisters litter or live in bushes, and the government find it comfortable that the solution can still be by arms. We have said a lot of things here, and I believe if this government is a listening government, let's not be so, pessimistic, but I will tell you that if it continues, a fly that fails to listen to advice, one day will surely run or take itself to the grave.
You've talked about the government reacting after, for instance, a perfect example is the International Crisis Group, which was even declared persona non grata in Cameroon by the communication minister. But recently we've seen the outing of UNESCO that indicated that some more than 33,000 students have not been able to go to school as a result of this crisis, and that close to 50 institutions have been set ablaze. But the government is still to make an outing on that. How can we interpret the stance of the government with regards to reports from international organizations?
Yes, when power is more highly centralized, as we have in Cameroon, where everything depends on Yaoundé, even if you need potable drinking water, you depend on Yaoundé, the decision will still come out from Yaoundé, which will mean that if there is failure in the regime, it is not the failure of the governors or the SDOs, the failure of the decision is coming from the powers that holds the nation in Yaoundé. The government is still continuing its action of always criticizing rather than looking. And I will tell you that even if we are about looking solutions and the government thinking of, which is a better way that we have just seen for the first time ever, the Bilingualism Commission comes out outrightly to give the same report as was presented by the people in the Bamenda meeting. But then,
when the crisis just started,
you realize that the results were all thwarted and that there is no reason, there is no problem. Those who refuse the same problem are the same people on a daily basis in which that the government is still relying upon. There is a problem in the regime. There is a problem in Cameroon. We need to solve this problem. And I said at the beginning, until you accept that there is a problem, you will become, in fact, dormant. You become opaque. Your brain will be eroded or, in fact, dark for you to bring out solutions appropriate to handle it. The moment you accept there's a problem, then you will be open to find solutions. And a lot of it, let's fail to blame international organizations. I will tell you equally that many Cameroonians promised death for the U.S. ambassador in a quiet opinion of the U.S. ambassador, whatsoever it was, but the way Cameroonians spoke about it, it's like he had no right. The same government gave this country arms. The same government is training the same military to combat Boko Haram, and the same government was not having the stamina to talk to Cameroon or counsel Cameroon on current issues. I said it is a whole bunch of nonsense that we find in Yaoundé, that we don't accept friends when we are going back, and we accept them only when they are giving us tips. There is a problem with management and governance.
Now, granting of general amnesty has been cited as a major solution to this crisis. Granting amnesty to all those that have been arrested and they are behind bars, the Anglophone leaders that were picked up in Nigeria, whose whereabouts up to now remains unknown. Do you think that that could somehow, if a general amnesty is granted to all those that have been arrested, it could be the beginning of a solution to this crisis, Mr. Akojon?
It is not the beginning of the solution. I will tell you it is not the first time. The government created it. And I will tell you, you cannot be discussing with people 2 days after you dismantled the organization, saying it is an illegal organization. Remember, with what we talk of the consortium of Anglophone lawyers and teachers, the outlawed consortium and the SNC. These were the group of members that were talking in the name of the people. The government decided to dislocate and neutralize, then come later on and arrest the same people to prison. It is not the first time I'm saying. I said for a better solution for Cameroon to move forward. All those that were caught during the crisis have to be released immediately. Not only released with exception, I mean everybody, if recognized, arrested during this crisis, is the first step. It's not a step, it's not even a solution to the problem, but an initial, I mean the willingness for you to go to a dialogue table. What we are saying here is a sincere dialogue. And what I'm telling you now is that one dialogue we are going to embark on will equally affect the nature of Cameroon. Let's not go on the negotiation table and tell those who are on the opposite side that this one will be negotiable, this one is non-negotiable. The moment you make some issue negotiable and non-negotiable, there is already creating another circumstance of another conflict, and that the dialogue may equally just end on a dead end. And so we need sincere dialogue, we need sincere governance, we need Cameroonians to be sure that the solution we are providing today will not only serve the present generation, I mean the sustainability of the proposed solutions. We should look at solutions that will serve Cameroon for the next century, accepting the multicultural nature of Cameroon, accepting the multilinguistic nature of Cameroon will give us an advantage to understand Cameroon and apply Cameroonian solution to Cameroon problem. If this is not on the table, then I will tell you that this nation is preparing to bury a generation which others have taken hostage for the past 100 years. Remember, we have senators at 80 years, we have a president at almost 90 years. It will mean that about 2 generations have already been buried. And if Cameroon is sincere to itself, this country belongs to all Cameroonians. If we have to take into consideration the principle of intergenerational equity, we have to transfer issues that we have heard today to those who are still to come. But when one generation closes it over to himself until he dies,
that is why opposition leaders are proposing political transition. But do you think that could
a political transition in Cameroon may calm down tempers, but might not wipe the Cameroonian disease. The Cameroonian disease, which indicates that some people are privileged to be in certain position and others are not. And already we have seen a lot. Meaning Anglophones are not too intelligent like Francophones. Anglophones cannot hold certain positions. We need a whole generation of mental revolution to wipe out the ideologies of the old regime, where just a few can control. And that if you were born in Furawa, if you were born in Mora, you can never be a president of the Cameroon except you were born in the city. We need to wipe out all this issue that Cameroon belongs to all Cameroonians and that we as Cameroonians merit to be Cameroonians. If all these are not better off in a new republic, then Cameroon will still suffer from the sins of their parents. We too shall suffer the consequences.
Thank you, Mr. Akojon.
The pleasure is mine.
We hope to have you some other time.
We'll always be together.
Thank you once again. To have